What's up, everybody? My name is Kier, and you are watching The Important Things That Really Matter. Today, we're going to be talking about a very, very extremely important subject that we're going to be talking about today. What is the extremely important subject that we're going to be talking about today? And I'm going to slice it up into probably about 4 different parts. This is going to be part 1 of Don't Let Your Woman Keep You in Debt. Don't let your woman keep you in debt. Very, very important subject. Now, before we get into it, would you please like, would you please share, would you please subscribe? I guarantee you, if you subscribe, you will have access to the playlist of my channel that would help to save you thousands upon thousands of dollars. Some people, it might help them save them hundreds of thousands of dollars. It might even save them millions of dollars for some people. And also save you a whole lot of pain and suffering. So, I'm gonna get to it in a little bit. And so I guarantee you, if you subscribe, this channel, my channel, will help to save you thousands upon thousands of dollars and help to save you a whole lot of pain and suffering. And this video series that I'm gonna do right now, which is Don't Let Your Woman Keep You in Debt, is one of those videos that will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a period of time, especially especially when it gives you information on what to look out for, certain people that you want to leave alone, that's going to keep you in debt, put you in debt and keep you in debt. So anyway, fair use. I really don't have to say fair use because this is a story which had particularly involved me. And you're going to learn a whole lot from this story. So men, make sure that you share this video with many other men, especially young men, especially African-American men. Not just young African-American men, older African-American men, just men in general across the board, okay? Because this is one of the videos that's gonna save you a great deal of money. This channel is a channel about wisdom that will show you how you're supposed to be maneuvering in life, okay? Once again, go check out my playlist, see all the videos up under the different playlists, and you wanna go through those videos will help to save you thousands upon thousands of dollars and save you a whole lot of pain and suffering. Okay, this is part 1 of the series. I'm gonna probably have 4 different parts of the series. So anyway, let's get into it. Now, there was this lady that I knew that I had worked with. And the lady, she knew that I was an engineer. And she said, Kier, you might know my husband. I said, your husband? She said, yeah, she worked for the same company that you work for. I was like, oh, okay. I said, what's his name? And so she told me what his name was, but I was like, I don't really particularly remember your husband's name, but if I seen your husband's face, I probably would know him because I know him by face. Because, and I asked her what facility did her husband work at? And she told me a particular engineering facility that was in Detroit that that her husband had worked at because he was a African-American engineer. So I'm like, okay. I said, well, I don't know his name offhand, but if I seen him, I probably would know him. So anyway, in talking with her, I said, yeah, she told me what facility that he worked at. I'm like, I'm over there all the time. I said, because a lot of times I'm working on launches of vehicles and whatnot, got to estimate manpower requirements in my area of responsibility, which was a trim shop. And so a lot of times I'm over at that particular facility, engineering facility, but I'm also over at another engineering facility in a place called Auburn Hills. Anyway, they got a huge, gigantic engineering facility out there. But anyway, so she was telling me, she was like, while she was married to this engineer, I'm like, oh, and I don't know how we got on the subject, but somehow or another, she was telling me that she was laughing about how she kept her family in debt. And I'm listening to this woman. I'm like, sometimes I'm not good with what I feel because what I feel sometimes shows up on my face. And so while she's telling me this, my face is kind of contorting a little bit because I'm like, why would you keep your family in debt? Well, she thought it was a little game to keep running up the credit cards in her family. And so I'm like, and once again, fair use. She thought it was a little game with her husband to keep her husband and family in debt. So I'm like, well, what are you talking about? So she's like, yeah, he used to set me down and say, honey, don't run up the credit cards. Honey, don't run up the credit cards because I'm trying to pay the credit cards off. And so she was laughing about, yeah, he tell me not to do it. And then he'll pay the credit cards down and she'll run the credit cards back up. And then he'd pay the credit cards down and then have a talk with her again and then run the credit cards back up. And then he'd pay the credit cards back down, then have another talk to her again about running up the credit cards. And she'll run them back up anyway. She was laughing about it. Hee. I'm sitting up here like, thinking to myself, your husband tried to talk to you numerous times about keeping the family, and it wasn't just keeping him in debt, it's keeping the family in debt. And so I'm basically going to show you how she basically deleted her husband due to financial stress that she was causing. So she's telling me all this, and I'm looking at her like, is this woman crazy? Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, your husband talked to you numerous times, and you still kept the family in debt by running up the credit cards, even though he keep talking to you about now, but you run them back up again. And so what the woman didn't realize was that every time she ran the credit cards up, this man got to spend more time at a job that he probably don't like to begin with. Probably don't like his job, but he got to spend more time on the job, working more overtime on the job because his wife keeps keeping the family in debt. So I'm listening to her and I'm thinking to myself, is this woman got in her right mind or what? She thought it was a little game. She thought it was a little game. And so she kept running. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, she's keeping her husband longer and longer on the job, probably have to come in and work on the weekends to work all this overtime, which is putting him under more stress. Now, African-American in an engineering position is up under a lot of stress. I'm just telling you this, especially if you're working in the plants like I am, like I was working in the plants as an engineer. And I had a huge responsibility in an area of the trim shop, which was almost 300 operations. And then in addition to trying to keep up with day-to-day activities on the plant floor, part of my job was go to the engineering facilities and help familiarize myself with all the engineering problems and help them to resolve whatever engineering problems that they had at what they call pilot vehicles, okay? And so I worked very closely with advanced manufacturing. And so it's a very stressful job. So being an African-American person, an African-American male such as myself, a lot of times I was doing the job of like 7 people by myself, always working hard and resolving problems all the time. My day would start 3 o'clock in the morning, and by the time my day would start about 3 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, and I would get out maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on what type of meetings I was at. And so very, very stressful job. A lot of times I'll come home from work, lay down for a minute, and then I'll be out cold because I'm solving problems all day long. So anyway, this woman did not realize that her husband has to work more and more overtime to pay all the debt down that she keeps accumulating. So as soon as he paid the credit cards down, she run it back up and thought it was a little game. So what ended up happening was this. She was in her house one day. While she was in her house that her husband was providing for to keep her in this particular house, while she was in her house, she heard this large boom. She heard, boom! And so she was like, what's that noise? So she starts going upstairs, and while she's going upstairs to hear what this boom was, she kept calling her husband's name, And she gets upstairs, gets in the bathroom. Her husband hit the floor, had a massive heart attack, and was out of here, okay? And so I'm telling her, oh man, I'm really sorry to hear that about what happened to your husband. But after she told me all the stress she kept her husband, all the financial stress that she kept her husband up under, I wanted to say, you know, you're the one that deleted your husband with the financial stress kept him up under. Now, some people say, I don't agree with that. Those people, because I do have a number of women that watch my videos also too, of course they're going to disagree with that. But I'm going to show you in a minute how the stress transferred from him to her. And you're also going to see the law of reaping and sowing involved. She thought it was funny to keep the family in debt. And I'm going to show you how she reaped what she sowed by keeping her family in debt. So anyway, her husband, who was an engineer, who she kept working massive amounts of overtime hours to try to delete or reduce the amount of debt that this woman was keeping her family in with the credit cards, her husband died. He hit the floor. He was in the bathroom, had a massive heart attack, hit the ground. Once again, fair use. So I'm like, dang, I'm sorry to hear that. And then while she's telling me this, I'm like, this woman deleted her husband due to the financial stress that she kept him up under. But I wasn't gonna tell her that because I wanted to. I'm pretty straightforward. I basically want to tell you, you know you took out your husband with all that financial stress, right? Yeah. I said, nah, I better not say that. But she kept talking, and I'm sorry about it. And then she said, it's something funny. I said, well, what's funny? She said, they did an autopsy on his body. I said, yeah. She said, the doctor said they're scratching their head, scratching their behind. We're trying to figure out what's wrong with him. It's like he was in perfect health. He was in perfect health. But he had a massive heart attack. His heart was healthy. His organs were healthy. He's like, the guy is in good health. But a lot of people don't realize the stress will delete you. And if you got a person that you're dealing with that's keeping you up under massive amounts of stress due to financial stress because you're talking to them about keeping the family in debt and they refuse to listen to you, that stress can end up taking you out, literally, as we just now seeing with this guy. This man just dropped dead in the bathroom. And so I'm listening to her, and I said, no, I wanted to so bad. I want to tell her so bad, yeah, you know you deleted your husband, right? With all that stress you kept him up under. Because the autopsy said there was nothing wrong with him. The doctors were scratching their head, scratching their behind, wondering how this guy died. And he died due to stress. And so let me tell you how the law of reaping and sowing went in this particular instance, since she thought it was so fun to keep the family in debt. So she's telling me this, and I told her, hey, I'm sorry about what happened, and I know I didn't say, yeah, you're the one that was responsible for his deletion. I didn't tell her that, kept it to myself. And so I explained to her, I said, do you know something? She said, what? I said, do you know what your husband was trying to do? She's like, what? I said, your husband was trying to pay all the debts down, and then after he pays all the debts down, he would have more money. He will have more money coming in to make investments because all of the debts are gotten rid of. I said, do you understand what I'm saying? I said, your husband was trying to get all the debts down so he can make investments so that there's even more money coming in so that you pretty much could almost spend whatever you want to spend, and it won't necessarily affect the family because you got so much residual income coming in from other places other than his job. She's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have kept running up all the credit cards. I'm like, this is what your husband was trying to do. I know, I'm an engineer. This is the way we think. He's trying to get the debt down so he can start making investments. And every time you were running the bills up, you're prolonging him being able to take extra money to make investments with, which is going to bring more money in the household. And she was like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. So anyway, what's messed up, she finally understands, but this is what her husband has been trying to tell her for years. So let me tell you how she reaped what she sowed by keeping her family in debt. As soon as her husband passed away, she had to move out of that house. Did you hear what I just said? When her husband passed away, she now had to move out of the house because basically he died from the financial stress that she was putting him up under. Now, and this is going to be a 4 or 5 part series. This is part 1. All right? And it might be long, but you want to share this video with as many men as possible, especially as many African-American men as possible, whether they're young or whether they're older. You are the leader of the family. You are the leader of your family. If you look in the book of Genesis, it tells you Adam was given authority over this planet. Adam was given authority over this planet. That means he was the leader. He was he basically was the God of this world, really. And the wife that he was given to him, which was Eve, was given to him to be a helpmate to him. So you are required by God Almighty to be the leader in your household. Now, if you are a person, a man that don't know how to make decent decisions, or you have low decision-making skills, then maybe you shouldn't get married, okay? Because what you don't want to have is you be a beta male and your wife is telling you everything what to do. Now, she's supposed to be there as a helpmate to you, but a helpmate to you all, to the talents, abilities, skills that she has that you may not have, to help the family go in a direction that the husband say, okay, we're going into this particular direction. And she's supposed to follow your leadership. You see that in the book of Genesis. So anyway, so the wife is supposed to be a helpmate to you. So you have to be a leader in your family. So if something's out of order in your family, whether it's your kids out of order, whether it's your wife out of order, whatever that's out of order in your family, you being a man is supposed to get everything back in order, because you are the one that has to stand before God to give account for what you did in your family and what you did on this earth. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to be the leader. That means you have to do whatever you can to everything going smooth in your household. She should be a help to you, but if she is causing financial problems, you're supposed to be one that's supposed to go to her and deal with it. You talk to her several times, you talk to her numerous times, and then if she's still keeping the family in debt, then you have to do what you have to do. Whether you gotta get her credit cards and cut them up, or whatever you have to do to stop all that from happening, to keep your family from being in debt, you gotta do it. And start out by talking to her. And if she still don't want to listen, you might have to take her credit cards from her. You might have to cut all the credit cards. Or you might have to call the credit card company and tell them, I'm shutting down all these credit cards. If the person don't want to listen, because you're trying to go in this direction, she's hindering you from going in that direction, which is going to make your family better. You follow what I'm saying? You have to be the man. You have to be the leader in your home. So me, if it was me, I would have did exactly what I said. I would talk with her a couple of times, and after that, if she keep doing it, then it's time to take the credit cards away. Cancel the credit cards. And then after all the credit cards are canceled, after you pay them all off, they are paid off. So you have to do what you have to do. You can't keep allowing either a child or the wife or girlfriend to keep the family in debt. So anyway, I was trying to talk to the woman. How did she reap what she sowed from doing all this crazy stuff? This is how she reaped what she sowed. Number one, as soon as her husband had died, she had to move out of the house. She had to move out of the house because her husband had died. Due to the stress that the financial stress that she put him up under. All right, that's number one. So now she don't live in the house no more. She had to go live in an apartment. Live in an apartment with somebody. She first had a house that was only her and her husband in. Okay? Now she got to move into an apartment which is way smaller than the house that she was used to being in. Then she got to share with somebody that she may not even like all that much. So that's one thing. Number two, and I'm going to tell you to show you how the stress that she put on her husband transferred to her. How did the stress transfer to her? So now, when her husband died, and she make the funeral arrangements, she do all this stuff. She now got to move out of the house because his income is not coming in anymore. Now she finally sits down and starts thinking to herself, "What am I gonna do? I done ran up all them credit cards. What I'm gonna do? Well, my husband not around no more. I done ran up all them credit cards. I owe all this money. I owe all this interest rate." So she like this. I don't know how I'm gonna pay that back. I don't know. Now she gotta work the overtime. Now she gotta go work the overtime. Now she gotta pick up another job. Might have to work 3 jobs to start paying that money back that she caused the family debt to be in. So This is how it came back. This is how I know the stress is back on, is on her now. It was the same stress which was on the husband. Now she got to work 2, maybe 3 jobs to pay the money back from all of the financial stress that she was causing her husband and her whole family. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you follow what I'm saying? If you're a man and you are married, or even if you are living with a woman, you have to be the leader in the home. Now, it was her fault, but it was also her husband's fault by not keeping his wife in check. So anyway, you want to share this video with as many men as possible, especially as many African American men as possible, whether young or whether old. You got to share this with as many men as possible, which will help them tremendously. You have to be the leader in your home. You have to be the leader in your home. You have to be a leader in home, because when you have to end up and talk to God and stand before God, and if he sits up and tell you, how come you didn't take control of your household like you're supposed to? You the leader in the household, and you standing up there, He gonna hold you responsible for letting your household get out of order. All right, once again, my name is Kier. You're watching The Important Things That Really Matter. Come back for part 2, then part 3, and I'm gonna probably do a part 4. Peace.